Excuse me.
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with
Paul Seaburn. Hi,
It's your
Karen.
name. Hi, Paul.
I'm Paul Seaburn. I'm here with Karen Hale, the executive producer at for What in the World and the media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. We're here with John Dinalo, our co-host. Hi, John.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen.
He's doing good, looking good. If anyone notices, probably just our regulars. I got a new camera, so if your eyes are blasting from this red shirt, let me know and I'll tone it down next time. But I thought I'd test the colors out. So welcome everybody. If you're listening live, hello. I found out who our Polish fan's name is, Christoph. So hello, Christoph, if you're on, and Tex Chick and Steeler Girl and all our friends down in Texas.
Absolutely.
Welcome. If you're listening in the future on Spotify, thanks for joining us, or on any of the other podcasting platforms. While you're there, go visit the other great podcast on newclevelandradio.net. Karen has a whole slew of them, adding them regularly. Especially if you need therapy, and we all do these days, newclevelandradio.net is the place to go. You come there for laughs, you come there for advice, you come there for music, for games. Karen's brother Gary has a great Scrabble podcast. If you're interested in board games, we ought to do one on making jigsaw puzzles. You know, there's
that'd be fun.
Okay, you know, I have a good friend who makes a lot of jigsaw puzzles, and she would be great on a podcast. I'll have to mention it to her. Okay, so we've gotten completely off on a tangent, as we always do. That's our motto at What in the World, off on a tangent, along with real news, sometimes strange, always funny. And that's what we do here once a week. Real news, hot off of the internet, from around the world. And we were just talking about this before. We're going to be going to Zimbabwe today to talk about goblins. We're going to Stonehenge to talk about music. We're going to the Ozark Mountains to talk about Bigfoot. We've got weird world records. We've got another strange sport from our sports guy, John Dinalo. You're not going to believe this one. And trivia and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get started without further ado, as they say in North Wales.
I like that, Paul. That was a good one. Nice segue.
If you haven't figured that one out, that's where John lives. Okay, so we also have visual aids. A couple of them. I had a few that I rejected. I decided there's some paths we're not gonna go down today, and you'll figure out which ones they are. So I've put those visual aids away. But this is a good one. This is so people living. The lovely Donna is listening, and when she's been working from home for many months now. And she recently went back to the office where some people, they're just skeleton crew there. And they, one of the things she did was brought back a couple of plants that she had left there, which a lot of people have done. And the usual story is they go back and all that's left is a pot of dirt. Fortunately, Donna's office, the service came in and whatever, took care of the plants. So she has this huge cactus that she brought back and a couple other really nice looking plants. So that just reminded me of this story. Now, we have, John, as you know, we have plants all over the house.
Yes, I know you do.
The lovely Donna takes care of all those. So this is a story for people who have plants, and you'll find out. So this is a rare house plant known as the Philodendron minima, sold recently at an auction in New Zealand for $5,700. One plant, $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, $5,700 for one plant because its leaves are both yellow and green. Now, when the lovely Donna forgets to water and I'm responsible, or if she's on vacation and I'm responsible, all of our plants are yellow and green. Had I known,
Well,
I
that's not
could
how
get
it's supposed to be. You know that.
$5,700 a pot. Man, John, I could retire.
There you go. Now you're talking.
So here's what this yellow and green plant looks like. Well, now you can see it on my new camera there. Boy, that looks good.
It does look good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a pretty.
Philodendron.
Yeah, it definitely is. Thank you, Karen. I'm obviously a plant expert there. I have. They're normally green, I would think, right? Is that the case?
but they have variegation in them.
Oh, okay. So this is a nice, pretty plant. Apparently, it's very rare, which is why it's sold for $5,700. So, that's the first thing I figured was, man, I lost a fortune. And really, if you think about it, that plant was probably raised by a woman, not a man. We're good outside with outside plants. Women are better inside. We need a tractor. If I can't take care of the plant with at minimum a tractor, it's going to die. That's why, men are farmers. Women, I'm sure women are good farmers, but that's what we like. Something that we can use power equipment on. The only plant I think that men like is the Venus flytrap. And, right? We'll take care of it because they're entertaining. That's something that could keep a guy busy all afternoon. Given a 6-pack of beer and a Venus flytrap and a fly swatter, that we're simple people. That would probably take care of us. So I was thinking about the name Venus flytrap, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a stripper in Houston whose name was Venus flytrap.
Really? How would
You know this why?
But well, if I remember correctly, she got arrested, but not for what you might think. It turned out at that club that she was at, too many little old ladies were showing up wanting to buy a plant, and then next thing you know, she comes out and it's not a nursery, obviously, not in the literal sense of nurseries. Let's put it that way. Although the nursing may have been going on. So anyway, and that's and at that point we're going to move on to this was an interesting story from this week. Anheuser-Busch, speaking of beer, announced that it had come out with a new beer for dogs called Dog Brew, and it sold out immediately. This is obviously a popular thing, having giving beer, non-alcoholic beer to your dog. So this stuff made from, get ready, John, your mouth is gonna water here. Pork, corn, celery, mint, turmeric, and ginger. I'm thinking any dog that likes this must be a dog that's used to drinking out of the toilet at Whole Foods. This is
terrible.
Yeah, what dog thinks, man, I could use some turmeric. I would sit and beg for a turmeric bone.
They're not going to know anything about it. I mean,
well, you never know, John. We really don't know a lot about how dog brains work. We barely know how well our brains work. So
that's correct, also.
But this can cause all kind of problems. Being a former dog owner, you don't give dogs real beer because alcohol is poison for dogs and cats and most pets, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, you give a dog real beer, it'll kill you. You give one of your friends dog beer, and they're going to kill you too. So you don't want to get them mixed up in your
vicious circle. It's a vicious circle.
But I know both of you remember the days when we talked about giving a dog table scraps. When was the last time you heard someone say, I need to get some table scraps for my dog?
Never.
When was,
never.
When was the last time you heard somebody really, we don't even ask for doggy bags anymore, but doggy bags were taken home so the bone from the T-bone steak could be thrown to the dog and they would have something to eat. Nobody does that anymore.
No.
No.
You order these big plates, and you immediately put half of it in a box and take it home and have it for dinner the next night.
Got it.
Yeah, there you go. You don't even have a dog, but you ask for a doggy bag and don't feel guilty about it.
I don't.
No. And so, your dogs, if you have a dog and your dog sees this, your dog is taking this down, and they're making note of the fact that you're bringing dog food home and you're not giving it to them. You're also taking very good food and giving it to that pet in the middle of your sink, known as the garbage disposal. They're very jealous of those things, I believe, because you just, you lovingly just shove it into the mouth of that thing, which could go to your dog. So I'm glad, John, that, maybe dogs can't think, or if they do, they can't speak and tell us what they think of us doing things like that.
Well, I think that's a given, Paul.
You love that thing more than you love me.
Yeah.
Snoopy talks.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And then if you go to a pet store and you look at the ingredients in real dog food, I mean, it's terrible stuff. It's meat byproducts, which we all know is what won't go into sausage. So it's got to be bad. If you can't even make sausage out of it, it's pretty bad.
I would think it would be nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, snouts and ears, and you don't even want to know the other parts that go in there. But it's just been ages. I can remember when I was a little kid, my aunt used to make table scraps for their dog, and my grandmother, and the older generation. So speaking of pets, and pet stores. Now, pet stores across the country are running into a shortage of live crickets. This is interesting. It's due to two reasons. Number one is that they have a shortage of workers because there's just not as many people going to pet stores. They're having to lay people off. If you lay people off, there's no one there to feed the crickets whatever crickets eat. So you have dead crickets, and lizards don't like dead crickets. They like live crickets, which brings us to the second reason, which is that so many people are staying at home with nothing to do that they're buying pets to take care of and to be companions because they're living at home by themselves possibly. And the most popular pets these days are lizards and snakes and iguanas and all these unusual things.
Exotic pets. They're
exotic pets, John, that's right. That are seemingly easy to take care of until the store runs out of crickets. And then what do? You break into your neighbor's shed next door, and you're in the middle of the night, and you're whistling that little cricket tune, hoping that they jump into your little bag that's in there. What do you do when there's a cricket shortage?
Can you whistle the tune for me?
I don't have an iguana, so I don't know that cricket tune.
Oh, okay.
But you threw me for a loop there, Karen. That was a good one. And so iguanas are the most popular of the lizard pets. Now, I have a good buddy, Bigfoot Don, down in Florida, where there's iguanas everywhere. There's so many iguanas, they're falling out of trees. We did a story about that, John, where during a cold spell, the iguanas froze and fell out of trees.
I remember the story. Yeah.
So there's iguanas everywhere. So they want to get rid of them. We want to buy them and give them cute little names, and feed them live cricket. This is how screwed up we are in this world today. And speaking of screwed up, which is my next segue, a company just came getting ready for the holidays, because it's what is it, September 8th, time for the holidays, time to start. If we were shopping, there'd be Christmas decorations in the stores by now.
Absolutely, there are.
Right. So since we don't have them on in the stores, we have Christmas decorations online. And there's a company that is selling, I just saw this, ketchup flavored candy canes. Now, I would have brought a picture, except they look just like regular candy canes. They're red and white striped. But put one in your mouth and you get, you don't get mint, you get peppermint, you get Heinz or Hunt's or whatever.
I have to say it's a mixed signal.
I'm sorry. John backed me up on this. some foods are sacred. Some foods should not be messed with.
I agree with you. Traditionally speaking, yes, definitely.
That's right.
Candy canes
Christmas
are in that category.
especially, or Hanukkah,
Yes.
Karen.
Well,
You
there it
don't
is.
mess
I
with
would know about
potato
that.
pancakes.
Yep.
You don't. There's one way to make them, the way Grandma or Bubba made them.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. So they're messing with something that shouldn't be messed with. Candy canes. Candy canes are red and white. You don't make them blue. You don't make them green. You don't make them black. They're red and white. They should always be cane shaped. They shouldn't be sticks. They shouldn't be round. They shouldn't be circles. They shouldn't be Santa's faces. And I've seen those. Candy canes in the shape of Santa's face. I'm sorry, if you have the desire to lick Santa's face,
Oh,
go to Santa and ask him for therapy for Christmas, because that's what you need. That's the perfect gift for you.
That's a bad visual. That's a bad
Who
visual.
thinks up these things, John? It's not me. You may blame me, but
No,
no,
we're
I
not gonna
just
blame
found
you.
the story. I'm the messenger.
I know. We're not going to blame you. You just have this source of information that doesn't make any sense.
There you go. Real news. So, we're all locked up. Do you remember going to concerts? Karen, especially. I know you're a big concert person.
yes, I am.
Oh, so are you, John. I know you're a big
Oh yeah, love going to concerts.
Haven't been to a concert in a year that I can remember myself. But this is an interesting story to make you remember concerts. It turns out some new research into Stonehenge. Some engineers built a model of Stonehenge, and they went inside of it in the middle, and they played music. And what they found out was that the shape of Stonehenge amplified the music, and it also kept it inside the circle. So it's kind of like your typical arena today. Inside, you got great sound. Outside, you can't hear anything. So the people with no tickets, they don't hear anything. All they hear is the scalpers going around saying, I got tickets for sale 3 times what you could have paid,
Right.
making you feel guilty. So I did a little research, and you know what band played at Stonehenge?
Not the Beatles.
No, the Stones, of course, Karen.
Oh,
Oh no, it was the Stones.
The Stone, yeah. Keith Richard, he was still alive back then. He looks it, doesn't he? He looks like a druid.
Hey, quit beating up on Keith Richards.
Oh, John, I forgot you're such a fan of Keith Richards.
Well, not so much Keith Richards, but the Rolling Stones. But he kind of like defies, being around. I mean,
Oh,
just
no kidding. Yeah.
Really.
There's
Well,
a miracle right there. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
He's like the kind of guy. Once he finally passes, we're going to find out the real reason why he's lived so long. And it's going to be something like he has a pyramid in his bedroom, and he sleeps under this pyramid every day or every night, something like
Some
that.
kind of reason, right? There has to be some kind of reason for sure.
Right. Or it's genes, that could be it as well. But
Well,
boy,
Charlie
yeah,
Watts
you're
is
right.
80. Well, Charlie Watts is 80 years old.
Charlie Watts is
Is
80.
Ringo-
Oh,
is
that's
Ringo
right. He was
Starr.
the oldest Stone. That's
Yeah, so
right.
yeah, and Ringo Starr's 80. I mean, so
Ringo Starr just turned 80. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
So but I don't know. Keith just gives you the impression that he's been a hard liver. That's all I can tell you.
Yes. That's an understatement.
Yes.
That's an understatement. Nobody outside of that guy from Aerosmith,
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler. Yeah, he looks like he's been around a couple of lifetimes. He's been resurrected a few times. He kind of looks like Keith Richards too, like he'd be his younger brother with a bigger mouth. But and there we go. We just went off on a segue here. So let's get back to a subject that off the air the three of us were discussing: placebos and drugs. A new study found that expensive placebos actually work better than cheap placebos. So if you pay more for something that's a sugar pill, but even though you don't know it, they did blind studies, and they found that the expensive placebos made people feel better, or took better care of whatever it was that was ailing them better than cheap placebos do.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's, it's obviously a mental thing more than anything else. But it got me to wondering, since we were talking about going to clinics today, the Cleveland Clinic, and it got me wondering, since I had to hand over a card, if I knew, or if the pharmacist knew that he or she was giving me a placebo, shouldn't they then legally be required to get counterfeit money as payment?
Wow.
Fake for fake, huh?
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly right. Yeah. Hey, this. I got one of these. I got Karen, those chocolate coins.
Yep.
Okay, that's what holiday do you get the chocolate coins for? I can
For
never.
Hanukkah.
For Hanukkah. Okay. Yeah. So I take you save up your bag of Hanukkah coins, and the next time you go to the doctor and they try to pawn those placebos on you, you say, fine, here's a pile. This looks like about $150 worth of just enough for those 10 damn pills that you're prescribing me.
Oh.
I don't know. That's where my mind is today. Another thing to think about: elephants that yawn. Turns out, did you know? I bet maybe you didn't know this. I haven't been to the zoo in a while. Elephants yawn just like people do. Not only that, they found that just like we can pass a yawn to someone else, you see someone else yawn and you yawn. If an elephant sees a person yawn, they will yawn right after it.
I got to go to the zoo tomorrow and try it.
No kidding. I know that's right. The zoo is open. So my question is, if an elephant sees you yawn and then they yawn, do they then get the hint that you want to go to bed and it's time for them to go home?
Well, what do they do then?
Probably not.
go
I've had
back to
company
their
that
area?
stays.
I don't know. They go home. They go back to the zoo. Have you ever had next time you have elephants over, John, try this out.
I don't think I ever have, Paul. I'm missing something.
And you're not going to have elephants over, because how the heck do they get the mask over their trunk? That's what I want.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to social distance appropriately. That's
There you
right.
go. There you go. So since we're talking about things that we don't do because of the pandemic shutdown, another one is flying. I know none of us have been flying in a while. Most people, you hear that the airline business is down 70%, but they're still testing new planes. So this is one of my visual aids. Engineers at Delft University, which is in the Netherlands, successfully tested a scale model of something that they call the Flying V, which is an airplane the size almost of a 747, but not shaped like a 747 at all. Not only is it shaped like a V, as you can see there, but you'll notice there's no body. The passengers, the cargo, your luggage, and the fuel are all in those two wings over there. Believe it or not, strange looking contraption. I'm not sure that I would step into, let alone fly.
That looks too spooky.
It does. But the model was only like maybe 12 feet across. So it's not a huge scale model, but a scale model nonetheless. So I'm imagining, well, what if I did? What if I was brave enough and I had needed to go someplace and I had to fly one of these? I'm thinking, what's the good side to sit on? Because, what do you say? Well, normally when you sit on an airplane, what you do is you look out the window and you look at the wing, because that's how you know whether the plane's on fire or not. If the wing is not on fire, then you're okay. If something, if the engine's not there, then you know you're in trouble. If you can't see the wing because you're inside of it, how do you know that you're in trouble? The other thing is that obviously the outside is the good side. That's where you get the best view. If you're on the inside of the wing and you look out the window, what you see is the person on the other side looking out of their window, out of the other wing. Shouldn't that be a cheaper seat if I don't see anything other than some guy making faces at me, or some kid?
You would think.
Yeah.
I would think so.
And then what's this going to do to the pilot? Because the thing that pilots love to do is to get on the speaker and say, well, now, okay, well, we're passing over St. Louis, and on your left is the, well, no, it's not on your left. Let's see. It would be on your left if you're in the left wing, but if you're in the right wing, you know, all of a sudden the pilot gets confused. I don't want the pilot to be confused. So
it sounds like really too much of an iffy proposition, Paul, all the way around. I think
there you go.
I'm
Forget the flying V. That's what we need to do. We'll tell those engineers, forget the flying V. Give us the good old fashioned airplane where
Absolutely.
we can look out the window and see the wing and see if there's a goblet or something on it.
What was that thing
Or
on the
gremlin.
top, though? You know,
The thing on top.
Yeah. there's
Oh,
like
those
a
were the two
arm.
engines. Those were the two
No,
engines.
right
Oh.
in the front. Or is that the wing?
Those are two wings, and in the
Oh.
middle, those two little things
Yeah,
sticking
But I'm
out
talking about the thing up near the front.
near the front.
It was up
Oh,
top.
it's just blue.
Oh,
Oh, no, I don't see any. There's nothing there. It's my visual.
oh, it's your visual aid.
Yeah,
Never.
it's just the visual aid. Yeah, that's it's my point. We'll edit that out.
Okay, we'll edit that.
So anyway, so I guess we're not getting on one of those kind of planes. But speaking of flying, now here's something that you can do. David Blaine, who is the famous magician,
Right.
does all kind of weird stuff.
Mhm.
And I say that in a loving way. I know a lot of magicians. I have a lot of respect for magicians. They're great entertainers. This guy gets a little wacky sometimes, and that's what he did last week. Last week, David Blaine tied together 60 or so helium balloons, hung a rope or some sort of cord from them, and lifted himself off into the air and flew over an Arizona desert. 50 helium balloons he was attached to. And then he let go and parachuted down to earth and let the balloons fly off, which is not a good thing to do, but kids, don't try this at home. Don't try any of that at home. But, you know, everybody's comparing this. I read all the stories. Oh, it's like that movie Up. Remember, it was an animated cartoon with the old guy and the kid and the balloons on the house, and they go flying over. Not to me, of course. To me, it was more like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And this is, you know, he's the coyote flying over, looking for the Roadrunner. And the Roadrunner is up on a mountain and sees him coming in. The Roadrunner's got a pea shooter. and David Blaine is looking down and his eyes get big like the coyote does. And the Roadrunner slowly beeps and starts picking off those balloons one by one. Acme balloons.
Acme balloons.
Acme balloons, that's right. So Roadrunner was and Wile E. Coyote, one of my all-time favorite cartoons.
Sure.
A couple of interesting trivia facts about Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Mel Blanc, the world most famous voice actor of all time, that worked for everybody, did everybody's voice. He was the voice actor for the Roadrunner. Easiest job in the world. All he had to do was beep beep. There was not, right, Karen?
Yep.
There was not another voice ever on the Roadrunner. And I checked to make sure. Well, what I found was that Chuck Jones, who was the creator and the original animator, had a list of 10 rules that animators had to follow when creating Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons. And they're so good, I needed to bring them to you. So first one is the Roadrunner cannot harm the Coyote except by going beep beep. So the Roadrunner never, and if you remember, the Roadrunner never actually harmed the Coyote. He harmed himself. And no other, so rule number two, no outside force can harm the Coyote. So nothing other than his own doing could harm him. Only his ineptitude or the failure of the products, the Acme products. Number three, the Coyote could stop anytime he wanted to, but he doesn't because he's a fanatic. Number four, and this was the what we're talking about, there can be no dialogue ever except beep beep. The Coyote, the way he spoke was by holding up signs. You would see the Coyote hold up various signs. Number 5, the roadrunner. The roadrunner must stay on the road. You never saw the roadrunner get off the road, because then he wouldn't be a roadrunner. He'd be a something else runner. So
Okay.
my little scenario of him being on the mountain was incorrect. That would not pass the sniff test, and it wouldn't be in the video. Roadrunner must stay on the road. Number 6, all action must be confined to the natural environment of the two characters, the Southwest American desert, Arizona desert. That's where David Blaine was flying. So that would have been a good scene for the cartoon. Number 7, all material, tools, weapons, or mechanical conveniences must be obtained from Acme. So everything that the Coyote got came from Acme. Number 8, whenever possible, this was a good one. Whenever possible, gravity should be made the Coyote's greatest enemy. So how many times did the Coyote fall off a cliff? And you didn't see anything. All you heard, you just saw it, and then you heard a little tiny thud, and you saw a little puff of smoke, a little puff of dirt.
Right, that's exactly right.
Number 9, the Coyote is always more humiliated than harmed by his failures, which is true. The Coyote never died. The Coyote was just embarrassed, frustrated, and otherwise humiliated. And number 10, the sympathy of the audience must lie with the Coyote. So, the Coyote never killed the roadrunner, never even harmed the roadrunner. You felt bad for the Coyote because you could see that things were not going well. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, it turns out, not in the original short cartoons, but in a two-reel theatrical cartoon released in 1961 called The Adventures of the Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote actually speaks and gives a lecture on the best way to catch a roadrunner. And then in 2000, there was a short called Little Go Beep, where they did a flashback to Wile E. Coyote's father. Wile E. Coyote Sr., I guess would be his name. Speaking to baby Wile E. Coyote. The voice was Stan Freberg, by the way, another great voice actor and a really great comedian. So the father is telling little Wiley not to speak until he has caught the roadrunner. So that explains the whole premise. He was told by his father, you're not allowed to speak until you catch the roadrunner. Never caught the roadrunner, hence we never heard from Wile E. Coyote.
Interesting.
How about that? Yeah, I thought that was just unbelievable. So let's talk about those goblins, since we were discussing goblins in Zimbabwe for a second here. John, when you're in Zimbabwe, you do as Zimbabweans do. Everybody knows that. Today, that means that if you see a goblin, you run like heck. And you don't call the police, because the police are probably running away from the goblin right behind you. And you don't listen to the people who come to your door saying, hey, we'll get rid of that goblin for you, because it's probably a scam. All those things just happened in Zimbabwe, in this little town called DEET, D-E-T-E, not the kind you spray to keep away mosquitoes. The cops were investigating a report of poisoned dogs, and they go into the house of the owner of a warehouse, a factory that was near where the dogs were poisoned. And they're searching the briefcase of this guy. Why they're searching the briefcase, it didn't say. They opened it up and they saw goblins, and that scared them so much that they ran out the door. Now that's the report that was in the local Zimbabwean media on the internet. So his wife says they didn't see a goblin. This is soon to be ex-wife, by the way. Or I think maybe it is his ex-wife already. She told the village head that he didn't see goblins. That if they find one of these invisible beasts, to give her a call, because there weren't any. So the key word there is invisible. Mm-hmm. Zimbabwean goblins are invisible, which is why you'll never see a goblin on Halloween in Zimbabwe because you can't see them. So unless you're the kinky kind of guy that likes to, for an adult party, you might want to go as a Zimbabwean goblin. So this guy is the prime suspect in the dog killings because the neighbors think he's an evil guy. Not because of the dog killing, but because they saw him in a cemetery where it looked like he was digging up a grave. Okay, so that's not good. That's not good. So they think he's some kind of witch doctor, evil person, whatever. So that doesn't explain the goblins, though. So they're looking around. They're questioning people, and they interview the guy. So he says he uses the typical alibi. He says, I'm not a witch. So that's his excuse. So if I'm not a witch, that means I couldn't be conjuring up these goblins. There's no proof. So he says to bring in witch doctors, and they call them sikamutandas in Zimbabwe. And I'm never going to pronounce that again because I'll get it wrong. And they're witch hunters. So, but the problem is, and this is, they're like the high priest in the neighborhood. The problem is that because of the coronavirus, all kind of imposter witch hunters and goblin hunters have started going around because they're blaming the coronavirus on goblins rather than on a virus. So people are doing exactly what I said. They're coming door to door and they're looking for anyone who's sick, and they're claiming that they're witch doctors and it's their right to pull those people out and take them someplace, and they do their spells on them and keep them locked up, which is probably a good thing, but doing the spells and all that and taking them out against their will is not a good thing. So one of the stories, and I apologize because I have no other way to say this. This came right out of the media. I will use a non-PC term in here, but there was a news story recently about 3 fake witch doctors who defrauded a man of over $7,000 after they hired a midget to pretend to be a goblin. And then they demanded 20 head of cattle from the guy to get rid of the midget, who they said was a goblin, and spare his life. So they caught they caught one of them, and they caught the midget, who was naked at the time. So I guess, as I said before, maybe that's how you pretend to be an invisible goblin. You don't wear any clothes. So, it's just so convoluted. So they go back to the guy. So with the dead dog, they still have the dead dog. They haven't just figured out who poisoned the dogs. The woman divorced him. He's losing business because nobody wants to go to his business anymore. He had some kind of textile business. So when you're in Zimbabwe, don't mess with goblins. Don't mess with witch doctors. Don't believe anything that people say. Well,
I think the rule of thumb is just keep to yourself.
Yeah, there you go, John. That's right. I don't speak Zimbabwean anyway, so
Okay.
yeah. So I got one more story about food, and then we'll get over to sports here. And this is, John, I know you're a seafood lover, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
I think lobsters count as seafood.
Yes.
So yeah, they do count as seafood. All right. So you boil lobster. And this goes along the same lines of you don't mess with. There's certain things you don't mess with. You don't mess with boiled lobster. They're an excellent food. They're fun to play with. They're entertaining to eat. You can pick your own out. You don't feel guilty because you can't really look them in the eye because they got those little eyes around those little antennas. So
right.
you don't feel, yeah, you don't feel too bad.
No.
Yeah. So and they taste really good.
They taste great.
Yeah. And it's the same for relatives of lobsters, like shrimp. Okay. Tastes really good. You make them about the same way. You boil them.
Mhm.
Don't feel guilty about that. Crawfish. I used to eat a lot of crawfish down south. Same thing. Don't mess with crawfish. Don't mess with crustaceans. That's the family that these people are in.
Okay.
Well, here's what happened. See, these researchers are in a desert, the Zoot Desert, Lut Desert in Iran, and the driest, hottest place on earth. How hot is it? You may ask, John.
How hot is it?
Karen, thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
NASA satellites measured 176 degrees Fahrenheit.
Whoa.
Summer. That's the hottest place on earth. The driest. They have less than like 3 inches of rain in an entire year. There's nothing. Okay. And yet they found a pond. And in that pond, they found a form of lobster, a new species of lobster that's living in these conditions, which means that you can't boil them because they're already swimming around having a great time at 176 degrees. Another 30 or 40 degrees isn't going to have any effect on them. Now, why is this a big deal, John, you may ask?
Yeah, why is it a big deal?
Because of the people for the ethical treatment of lobsters and crawfish and shrimp. They don't want us eating those creatures anymore because we boil them before we eat them. So they're going to get a hold of this creature, and it's a brand new crustacean. They've never seen it before. It's a new species. They're going to get a hold of this, and then they're going to get those goofy gene scientists from China and Russia, and they're going to say, hey, look, see if you can splice these this new one into the old lobsters so that you can't boil them anymore. And then those people like John and Paul who love eating lobster won't be able to eat them anymore, and they'll leave the poor red fish or whatever color they are before you boil them in the ocean where they can grow and romp and the shrimp down in the Gulf of Mexico, they can go back and live their lives out, and crawfish in the swamps and the creeks. So that's we need to stop these things.
We do need to stop this. I want my lobster.
Karen, you're absolutely right. I want my lobster too. I want my crawfish. Don't mess with boils. This is boil season. Fall is boil season.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you had crawfish boils. You had the up here you had clam bakes. Where you boil the clams. Yeah. So I think if any of those scientists are listening, take those poor little fish, those little lobsters that you found back to Iran where they belong, put them back in the pool, and don't ever go back there again. I don't want to hear the story anymore, right?
That's right. That's right.
There you go. So one more story about food, mushrooms. Now, but not to eat, okay? It turns out that mushrooms are the new leather. A new study, some new research is turning mushrooms into usable leather for boots, clothes, and bags, and other everyday things that you use leather for. It has the same texture. I don't know if it has the same smell. That's hard to get that leather smell. But John, if you think about this, if we were to end up with mushroom leather instead of cows or pigs, this would have a serious effect on sports broadcasting, because one of the things that they like to refer to is catching the old pig skin. Well, now you got to catch the old shroom skin. Doesn't have the same ring to it. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't work.
No. And baseball, you got the horse hide and you've got the leather mitt. So you're not going to hear the horse hide slapping against that leather mitt. You're going to hear the shroom hide slapping against that catcher's portobello glove.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
so I know. So I have one world record for us today, and that's an Austrian swimmer. Spent over 2 hours and 30 minutes, not swimming, but sitting in a giant glass box filled with 440 pounds of ice, setting the world record for the longest time ever sitting up to your neck in a container filled with ice. I get an ice cream headache just thinking about that.
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Karen, I will ask this question for you because you always ask it. Why would he do such a thing? Well, obviously to set the record. But when I asked that same question, and I know I'm not the right person to answer that. The right person to answer that is John Donalo, our sports guy on What in the World of Sport. What in the World of Sport? And I know John found sports that, and probably people who bet on things like this. So John, let us know, what's the weird sport that's associated with this?
Well, the weird sport that's associated, Paul, is something called ice swimming.
Ice swimming.
Let me repeat that. It's ice swimming. And believe it or not, as we all know, there's associations for everything, but there is an International Ice Swimming Association.
Of course.
That actually governs a lot of these activities. One of these activities is called bobbage. Bobbage, bobbage. It's a-
Lorraine Bobbage. No.
Yes.
No,
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 it's
no, no.
No, that's a different
They have
Bobbage.
different story.
Okay. Thanks, Karen. So bobbage is a form of swimming, and there's an athletic event associated with it. In association bobbage, competitors wearing flippers on their feet jump into a swimming pool and attempt to keep their heads entirely above water. And then the athlete jumps from the water, and the one who jumps the highest is deemed the winner.
Now
Now-
this is in freezing water, right?
It's freezing.
That-
Oh, yeah, it's
Freezing
yes,
water. Okay.
Yes. So, anyways, so the highest association bobbage jump made by an individual athlete is 2 meters, 40 centimeters by a man named Laszlo Fazekas of Hungary.
So now wait. So this is they swim underwater and then they jump out like a
Right.
dolphin or something.
Oh,
like
yeah, it's an actual competition where they actually jump.
and this guy got 2 meters. That's over 6 feet. So he managed to jump 6 feet in the air.
Because he was
out of
cold.
freezing- He was cold.
Listen, according to the according to
Oh,
the
that explains it.
according to the information from Guinness World Book of Records, that's what it
Oh.
is. And
Okay.
it was done in 2002, and he accomplished this feat during the filming for the International King of Sports TV program. So if you're interested in finding out about that, I'm sure you can Google it.
Oh, I'm sure I will. So this isn't obviously there's more competition than this if they have a ruling body. So what else?
yes, for
What
example.
else do they do in bobbage?
Good. I'm glad you asked that question, Paul. The fastest record ice mile under the rules of the International Ice Swimming Association by a male swimmer is 20 minutes, 29 seconds. And this record was achieved by a person from the Czech Republic. His name is Rostislav Vitek. And he accomplished this feat in a flooded freshwater quarry in Blansko, Czech Republic. And he performed this feat on March 7th, 2015.
Now it's a feat just to swim a mile.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I
to
mean,
swim
it's
in
just-
freezing water in 20 minutes, that's unbelievable.
He's a strong
So
athlete.
that's kind of impressive.
It is impressive.
Yeah, in a weird way.
It is.
Okay, how about in women? You get. I'm sure women
Well,
can
here we
do
go.
this.
Well, most recently on December 20th, 2019, the fastest recorded ice mile under International Association regs by a female swimmer is 21 minutes and 33 seconds. There were 2 swimmers, Julia Wittig and Ines Hahn, both from Germany, and they achieved this record in Lake Warsee in Berghausen, Bavaria, Germany.
Oh well,
Well,
you know what they did as soon as they got out of the water? They had beer.
Beer, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
gosh,
Which,
they need to
No matter
recover-
how cold the beer was, it was still warmer than where they were.
Absolutely. So
How- That's unbelievable. That's
it is unbelievable. Now, the longest distance ice swim recorded by a female was completed by Carmel Collins of Ireland on February 21st, 2016. Miss Collins swam a total of 330 kilometers or 2.05 miles in a freshwater outdoor pool at Wildwater in Armagh, Northern Ireland. And the average water temperature for Miss Collins' swim was 4.6 degrees Celsius or 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's almost freezing. That's
I mean,
what,
it's
8
obviously,
degrees?
these are
Yeah.
strong-willed people. These are not weak people. They're strong people. that are
geez.
doing
And how many? The 2 miles. I can't
know.
believe 2 miles in
I
freezing.
couldn't even keep my toe in there for a second.
No, but now I'm impressed with women doing that. But I want to say that part of the reason I believe why women can swim faster than men in freezing water is because they don't suffer from shrinkage. As far as I know, there's nothing to shrink.
Let's put it this way. You would think that, Paul.
I would think that. Of course I would, John.
Of course. Oh, but anyway,
So- Okay,
but-
so how about a guy? How long?
here it is.
How long would it take a guy here?
The longest distance ice swim by a man was done by Hamza Bakır Sugulu of Turkey. And he recorded the association record. He went 3.44 kilometers or 2.14 miles. And he did this swim at, I love the name here, on Southersee near the town of Sandhofen, Germany on February 7th, 2018. The average water temperature was 4.13 Celsius or 39.43 degrees Fahrenheit.
39 degrees. So
39.43 degrees, correct.
unbelievable. Okay, so this is distance. How about speed? So there's got to be people who want to get out of the water fast.
The fastest 1 kilometer ice swim by a male under the international rules is 11 minutes, 55.40 seconds, achieved by Sven Elferich of the Netherlands. And this was done at the Austrian Ice Swimming Championships in Friesheit, appropriately named, Baron, which is again in Altenworth, Austria, on February 16, 2019, in 3.6 Celsius water. Now, I don't have
That's
the
getting
equivalent,
close.
but you can.
Yeah,
get
that's
that.
getting close to freezing because that's probably around 37, 36 degrees.
Yeah.
That's really getting cold there. Wow.
And finally, the fastest 1 kilometer ice swim by a lady was done by Alyssa Fatum of Germany on January 6, 2019, at the Ice Swimming German Open in Weizbronn, Germany.
Oh, of
She
course.
completed the swim in an open air pool with water temperature measuring 1.4 Celsius or 34.52 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
34 degrees. You know,
And-
when I think about 34 degrees,
and how cold, and then she gets out of the water. How warm was it? What was the temperature when she got out of the water?
I don't have that information, unfortunately.
It looks
Well,
to
I
me
would
like
just
it was
hope
around
they put a
35
blanket
degrees.
on.
Yeah. So it's freezing. They're outdoors. They're not indoors. They're
That's
outdoors
exactly
doing
right.
it. And as you mentioned, it's the Australian Ice Championship, which means it's a real competition. And
Well, yes.
what do they give for awards? What do you get? You know what? An ice cube tray, a gold. You win the gold ice cube tray.
You know what, Paul and Karen? That's in a future show, so stay tuned. Oh,
Love it.
How on honest to God, John, you never cease to amaze me with these weird sports, weird records. I feel cold. I've got another ice cream headache just listening to all that.
I know.
That's just
When you think of 34 degrees, okay, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
that's cold.
34 degrees.
34 degrees outside is cold. 34 degrees in the water
Right.
is insane.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
really it's numbing to say the least.
Numbing. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
That's the perfect description of it is numbing. You know, I'm at a loss. Believe it or not, I'm at a loss for words on that. So I think that,
Apologies to Ripley's, but believe it or not,
believe it or not, that's right. My idol, Robert Ripley.
there you
uh,
go.
By far one of the he is he's he was a goofy guy, so I can relate to him. So I think since I am at a loss for words, I think this is a good time to switch over to our most popular segment, Bluff the co-host.
Love it.
We need some music for that. I don't have any music. I lost my sound effects. I'm not sure we want to hear some of those. So, but anyways, for those of you who haven't tuned into the show before, Bluff the co-host is a game that we play every week where I have three stories very similar in style and nature to the stories I've been telling for the past hour, with one big exception, and that is that some of them, like the others, may be real, some may be bluffs, and it's up to Karen and John to determine which is the real one, which is the bluff. I vary the numbers. You know, it could be one, could be all three, are real or bluffs or none. I try to baffle them as well as I can, while still also mixing in some real stories that are still as the lovely Donna says, that's so weird it must be real kind of story.
Absolutely.
I think John has adopted that philosophy as well.
I have.
Good, good. Well, let's see if it works this week, John.
All right, Paul, I'm ready for him. Fire away.
Hand on the buzzer. There you go. Story
Fire
number
away.
1. All right. One of the many famous quotes from the TV show Seinfeld was Elaine at a party, stuck in a boring conversation, and she proceeds to get out of it by saying to the lady she's talking to, "Maybe the dingo ate your baby." This was actually close to reality in Australia this week, but no babies were eaten. A woman who just had a baby left its birth certificate on the table when a dingo walked into her open back door, ate the paper off the table, and ran away. The woman went to the local courthouse to get a replacement, but no one believed her story and refused to give her a new one, which meant that the baby technically no longer existed, at least legally. A sympathetic judge finally relented and gave her a new birth certificate, but charged her double to teach her a lesson. The woman plans to wait until the child can eat meat, and then she's going to take him to a bush restaurant and steal a wild burger just so she can tell the cook, "Maybe the baby ate your dingo."
Oh.
That's a really convoluted story, Paul.
Convoluted, but it may be so weird it could be true that the dingo that ate the birth certificate technically, figuratively, ate the baby. What do you think, Karen? Real or bluff?
I'm going to say real. It's so stupid.
Wow, this is becoming the prevailing philosophy. Okay, one real for Karen. How about you, John?
Paul, I'm going to say real too, because I can visualize a dingo getting into someone's house. Now, whether the dingo actually ate their certificate is another thing, but I'm going to say in the world of whatever, in the weird, I'm going to say it's true.
It's true. Okay, so let's see. So that's 2 reals. So far, you have 0. That was a bluff.
Your wife knew that too. She even put down bluff.
Oh, there you go. You
did
should have stuck
a
to your instinct, Karen.
Did the dingo
Okay, John, what's that?
the dingo go in the house though and not eat something, or did
It's a fake story, John.
I'm disappointed. I like the idea of the dingo in the house.
It would have been a great a follow-up episode on Seinfeld. It would have been a great follow-up episode.
Oh,
And
God, I love
to
it.
be honest with you, I'm sure we've all left our doors open and had strange creatures wander in. So yeah, it's entirely possible. But in this case, no, the dingo did not come in and eat.
Okay, I accept.
John, I'm sorry. It's time to move on. To story number 2. Researchers in China working on a new book about the lives of Chinese emperors have discovered that the number 1 cause of death among early emperors was drinking immortality potions so that they could live forever. According to this new study, some died immediately, some died slowly as they drank them throughout their lives, and a few thought they'd be smart and wait until they were old, but it killed them anyways. It turns out that most of these elixirs of life contained either lead or mercury, both of which are deadly to drink. The researchers say it's baffling to find that many of the emperors had sons who watched them drink it and die, the immortality portion, drink it and die, and then drank the same potion themselves, thinking it would work for them. The quest for an elixir of life ended when one emperor decided having a house full of young concubines was a better way to feel young, even if he didn't live forever. So, the number 1 cause of death among early emperors in China was drinking a potion that was supposed to give them immortality. Real or bluff? John, the historian, will go to you.
I'm going to go on a limb, but I'm going to say it's real.
John goes on, the historian goes on a limb. You know how royal families are. And
Well, the people in the East, they have a lot of different thoughts and a lot of different views of life compared to people in the West. And I'm not just trying to break it down that way, but
Okay.
Eastern philosophy is unique in and of itself. And I'm going to say that those emperors believed
John,
in that.
okay, John says it's real. How about you, Karen?
I totally agree.
You agree?
John,
Okay.
yes.
Did you
John
write that
has-
down? Did you write down real? Or
I did. Real.
you did? Okay. All right. So that's 2 reals, right?
Real.
Oh, you both came back. That was a real story. How about that?
Very
Oh,
good.
All right. Okay. So that's
Way to
you're
go,
each
Karen.
tied. That means that this is the rubber match, so to speak, in sports parlance. The and points are double.
okay.
So, story number 3. Students at a top university in Zambia are refusing to take exams after the school's good luck fish died. The fish lived in the college pond for at least 22 years, and the students would go and visit it and feed it food to bring them luck on tests. The entire school has been shut down, as have businesses in the college town, while they mourn the death of the fish. Even the president of Zambia has sent his condolences to the students. The cause of the fish's death is not known, and there's a police investigation going on to determine it. Because the college is at a standstill, parents are collecting money to have the fish embalmed and put on display so their kids will go back to school and get out of their hair. So, the lucky fish that dies and completely shuts down a school because students won't take exams without their fish in Zambia. Real or bluff? Karen?
I'm going to say this one is real too. It's so odd that it has to be real.
Oh,
Yes.
the lovely Donna philosophy. Okay, Donna goes with Donna. I don't know what Donna's thinking, but Karen goes with a real. Karen goes with a real. How about you, John? This is it.
I'm going to say real. And I mean, a fish can live, 22 years. Okay, that's very plausible, right? And the
Yeah.
fish, well, college students are looking for anything they can use to try to be able to complete their studies or pass
That's
their
true.
tests.
That's
So
true.
I'm going to say
That's
it's
true.
real also.
How lucky can this fish be if it died?
Well, 22 years.
Old age,
Oh, old age. Well, okay, I guess. I don't know how old fish get, but you're both right. That was real.
Yay!
Yay!
What a
Can you
bird.
believe-
Yeah.
And they actually are. They actually are embalming the fish so that the kids will be able to go there and
Get good luck.
get the
Yeah.
good luck from the
That,
dead.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Makes
Good parent.
sense to John. Then that's my philosophy. If it makes sense to John, we run with it. All right. On that note, we've come to the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in live, everyone who's watching us on the podcasting platform of your choice. I want to thank Karen, as always, for everything that she does at nuclearradio.net. Tune in, listen to some more of her podcasts. They're all great. Thank my old friend John, and sports, as always, as weird as they could possibly be. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week. Have a good week.
We will be back.
Everyone
Be
stay
safe,
safe.
everybody.
Yes.
Everyone stay
Bye.
safe. Goodbye.